hold that sheet over here for John.
Counting you.
We do. I can start. We got 7.
Well, we're not. It was we're not quite at time.
Here, I'm gonna put the trash on your side.
Okay, that's fine.
What?
All right, let's go. All yours, dear.
Thank you. You ready? Meeting come to order, please. Roll call, if you would, press your present button. And confirm. Record it. Staff announcements.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a couple of announcements. I believe you have a copy of the annual report in front of you that we distribute to the Planning Commission to let you understand that we actually do something every once in a while. So it's y'all's to read at your leisure. Secondly, I do want to make an announcement. We are having a public workshop for the triune study. It'll be Monday, April 30th at 6:30 p.m. and it'll be at the Triune United Methodist Church on Nolensville Road. And the community obviously has been invited to attend, and you all can attend as well if you wish. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Consideration of minutes, March 8th, 18. Any corrections or changes? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it.
No, Pete.
Whoops. There you go. Now record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration of the consent agenda. Anyone wishing to pull an item for separate discussion, please say so now. Otherwise, we'll take it as a whole. 3 and 4? Anyone else? Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin with item. Do you say 3 and 4, Don? I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. I wrote down the wrong one. We'll begin then with item 5. Clovercroft Reserve, Section 1, maintenance bond for water, $3,712.50, release the bond. Item 6, Falls Grove, Section 1, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $290,000. Recommendation, extend the bond in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 7, Hart's Landmark, performance bond for landscaping, $110,600. Recommendation, defer the bond until the June 2018 meeting. Item 8, Hideaway at Arrington, Section 2, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $567,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance and extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 9, Hideaway at Arrington, Section 3, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $451,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance, amount of $350,000, extend for a period of 1 year. Item 10, Karen Whitford Commercial Lot, performance bond for landscaping, $1,815. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 6 months. Item 11, Kings Chapel, Section 3B, maintenance bond for wastewater collection system, $5,250. Recommendation, extend in current amount for 6 months. Item 12, Silver Stream Farm, Section 4D, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $50,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year and begin the process to release the bond. Item 13, The Grove, Section 9, performance bond for wastewater collection, $166,200. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 14, The Grove, Section 9, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $631,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance, the amount of $251,000 and extend for a period of 1 year. And item 15, Weatherford Estates, maintenance bond for water, $12,500. Recommendation, release the bond.
Thank you, sir. Motion on consent. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Any old business?
No, we have items 3 and 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item 3. Don?
Mr. Chairman, 3 and 4 have the same question for, it shows extending the bond since April of 2015, and the write-up says no improvements have been made. I was just wondering, is there a problem out there, or?
It's, with regard to the landscaping bond, item number 3, I can tell you that since receiving this report, the developer has notified staff that they have ordered all of the plantings and plan on proceeding with that next month. I think Debbie has been on them pretty heavy about this, and so she has been notified that the plants have been ordered and that the intent is to plant those next month. Now that's with regard to item 3. Do you have any other questions with regard to the landscaping part?
No, sir.
Okay, and so we go to item 4, which is the performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. They have not made any improvements since the last report. I can tell you that the roadway is in, and it is at a rough subgrade elevation at this time. It's my understanding that they have been having some problems with getting the water lines in and those kinds of things. So that's about all the contact I have had with them, but I do know that all of the grading to a rough state is completed, and I'd be happy to follow any direction you give on that, Mr. Crohan.
I would just like to see a report come back from them on their work, rather than wait a year before they come back to us again to see if they are continuing as they say they are. So I'd like a report back, say, in 2 months.
Won't you put that in the form of a motion, Mr. Crohan?
Yes, I would.
I need to take 3 and 4 separately, by the way, please.
Well, item 4 is the main one. Item 3, if they've ordered the material, that's fine.
I would suggest doing them both.
Okay. All right, then my motion would be to have a report from item 3 back before this board in 2 months.
From the developer?
From the developer in 2 months.
We can make that happen.
That's item 3. You make that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a second? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Vote now, please. Record it. Motion carries. Now item 4, Don.
Item 4, I would like the developer to report back to us in 2 months of the status of the progress on the roads on this particular item.
Okay, just for clarification on that, that would be the June meeting?
Yes.
Status and proposed schedule.
Yes.
Motion clear? Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, prepare to vote. What happened? Pete, you're still locked out, Bubba. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. That concludes the consent agenda. Under old business, concept plan review for Terra Vista subdivision containing 116 lots on 130 acres located off Long Lane in the 12th voting district. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item was considered at the March meeting, and the required public hearing was held at that time. Per staff's recommendation, the item was deferred until the April meeting to allow sufficient time for the applicant and staff to evaluate the various issues that were raised by the adjoining property owners. One of the issues that was raised related to the presence of drinking water wells within 300 feet of the wastewater disposal system in violation of the zoning ordinance. The information that was submitted by the adjoining property owners was supported this claim. As a result, the applicant will be revising the wastewater disposal area so as to comply with this 300-foot distance requirement. This change, along with some additional minor modifications that the applicant wishes to make, necessitates the submittal of a revised site plan for the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system that is proposed to serve the property. Because the previously approved site plan for the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system does not incorporate the 300-foot distance requirement, staff is recommending that this body once again defer action on this concept plan, this time until the May meeting, at which time the revised non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system can also be considered. Mr. Chairman, one additional item, the applicant is in agreement with this request to defer.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Pete?
Can we legally defer this?
Council?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what he said.
Pete?
Doesn't it have to be acted on in so many days?
Only if the applicant doesn't concur with the deferral, but they do in this case, and so it can be deferred.
Other questions? Comments? Motion to defer?
Staff recommendation.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Then item 17 under old business, Kings Chapel Section 8 containing 53 lots on 38.30 acres located off Kings Camp Pass Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Action on this item was deferred at the March 2018 meeting. The preliminary plat governing this section of the development was approved at the February 2018 meeting. The applicant is now requesting final plat approval for Section 8, which includes 53 lots. The applicant has requested action on this item be deferred until the May 2018 meeting. Staff concurs with this request.
Questions, staff?
Staff recommendation.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? I hear none. Prepare to vote. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Then item 18, public hearing, concept plan review for Daventry subdivision revised, containing 99 lots on 162 acres located off Tullis Road in the 4th voting district. This is a public hearing, and for those of you in the audience, our procedures are as follows. The staff will make their presentation. At its conclusion, the developer will be invited to make any comments he wishes to make. At his conclusion, if he chooses, you will be given 3 minutes to make the comments that you wish to make. Total of 30 minutes, and we've got 8 people, so I think we're okay. The young lady to my left will be timing that, and when you see me do this, you need to start to wind up your comments, okay? Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept for this development, which contained 80 lots, was approved in August of 2016. Since that time, the applicant has acquired an adjoining parcel and has intended to develop it as a separate 19-lot subdivision called Barnsley. Barnsley was proposed to derive its sole access from a new entrance located between 2 sharp curves on Tullis Road. No connection to the previously approved Daventry subdivision was proposed. However, because this project borders Daventry and is being developed by the same owner, staff asked the applicant to consider an alternative design which would combine the 2 subdivisions, thereby allowing the proposed development to be accessed directly from Daventry instead of introducing another curb cut on Tullis Road. Staff felt this alternative design would be preferable from an access management standpoint and would also help preserve the potential for a future realignment of one of the sharp curves on Tullis Road near where the additional entrance was proposed. The applicant agreed to combine the 2 developments into one and is now requesting approval of a concept plan for Daventry, which now includes 99 lots. Because the revised concept plan contains more than 49 lots, a public hearing is required. The subject property now totals 162 acres in size and is located on Tullis Road. The site adjoins Belchase Farm subdivision to the north and Clovercroft Preserve subdivision to the east. Other surrounding properties range in size from approximately 10 acres to 120 acres and are used for residential or agricultural purposes. Portions of the site are covered by natural resources, including hilltops, areas of steep slopes, streams, and woodlands. Approximately 23% of the site is covered in tree canopy. The proposed development consists of 99 lots, which will range in size from approximately 1/4 of an acre to a ½ acre. The overall density is 0.61 dwelling units per acre. 66% of the site will be preserved in open space. Access to the proposed development will be provided from Tullis Road, which is classified as a local roadway by the Major Thoroughfare Plan, with an additional connection to be made through a roadway stub within Bell Chase Farms. The traffic shed analysis performed by the applicant indicates that the proposed number of lots is within acceptable limits based upon the capacity of the existing roadways. The applicant submitted a turn lane warrant analysis, which indicates that turn lanes are not warranted at the Tullis Road entrance to the development. The County Highway Department has concurred with this finding. Within the development, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to locate sidewalks out of the right-of-way and a design speed of 25 miles per hour for internal roadways. Staff is in support of these requests. As the site straddles the boundaries between water districts, water service will be provided by both Millcrofton Utility District and Nolensville College Grove Utility District. Wastewater will be handled via a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system for which a revised site plan was approved by this body at the August 2017 meeting. It should be noted that once detailed construction and engineering plans are prepared in conjunction with the submittal of a preliminary plat, changes to the layout, including the potential for a reduction of lots, may be necessary. A landscaping plan will also be required. Staff recommends approval of this concept plan along with the request for a 40-foot right-of-way and a design speed of 25 miles per hour for internal roadways with the following conditions. The preliminary plat must address the following. Number 1, submission of roads, drainage, and erosion control plans for review and approval by the county engineer. Number 2, submission of water plans for review and approval by Millcrofton Utility District. Number 3, submission of water plans for review and approval by Nolensville College Grove Utility District. And number 4, submission of the applicable construction plans for required wastewater disposal facilities to TDEC, the county's consultant, and staff. Final plat must address the following. Number 1, prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said system was installed and is functioning. B, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating same. D, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,000 for said system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. And E, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $40,920 for landscaping improvements. Number 2, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be concurrently recorded with the recording of the final plat. 3, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. 4, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. 5, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Nolensville College Grove Utility District. Number 6, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Number 7, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 8, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and the submission of an operation plan for stormwater improvements. And number 9, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat. Mr. Chairman, one additional item. There is a piece of correspondence on your desk for this item.
Staff, any questions of staff?
Got one question.
Go ahead.
turn lanes won't be necessary on Tullis Road. We're putting extra people through Bell Chase subdivision onto Clovercroft Road. Change turn lane necessity for Clovercroft Road and Bell Chase Road.
I'm sorry, Pete. I lost you there somewhere. What's the question?
We're putting this many more lots coming out onto Clovercroft Road through Bell Chase.
Yeah.
Will this increase the necessity for turn lanes on Clovercroft Road and Bell Chase or whatever?
Mike?
I don't believe so. The applicant's engineer evaluated the access, including the distribution, the direction that vehicles would take, some taking Tullis, some taking the other one, and they indicated that turn lanes were not necessary, and the county's highway department concurred with that. So the answer is no. I don't believe that that's the case.
Anything else? Anyone else have a question of staff? Anyone? Fine. We'll open for public hearing. The public hearing is open at this time. Is the developer here?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to make a comment, sir?
Just very briefly.
That'd be good.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is George Dean. I'm an attorney from Nashville representing the applicant owner here. I just want to make a couple of points. One was that this is a little unusual in that you have already previously approved the original Daventry concept plan. Between the time that you approved the original plan and tonight, my client was able to purchase some additional property adjacent to that and has blended that into this subdivision. Originally, the idea was to have a separate subdivision entirely, would not have any impact on Daventry whatsoever. Talking to the staff, though, the staff felt that it was a better alternative to put the two subdivisions together, have one access point off of Tullis. My client felt that he should work with the staff. They developed the plans to do that. They're here tonight seeking concept plan approval. It's delayed their project some because it's taken a little bit longer to do that, but that they felt like the staff was right that having that principal access off of Tullis would work better in the long run, both for the county in terms of access, and also if there's some sharp turns out on Tullis Road. Ultimately, with the elimination of the second access on Tullis, it may help the county fix some of the roadway problems out there. Also, just wanted to say, we comply with all the regulations, all the subdivision regulations. The staff's approved, county engineers approved. We'd ask the Planning Commission to approve the concept plan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll open the public hearing for the public. First speaker is Greg Lawrence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Greg Lawrence. I live at 4100 Clover Meadows Drive in Franklin, and I am the 4th District County Commissioner. And I want to start this evening by thanking all of you for your service as a fellow public official. I know some of the sacrifices you make to do some vital work for the citizens of our county, and so I thank you for your service. Tonight you're going to hear from a number of residents who live along Tullis Road, and they have concerns that I have listened to about the changes that are being made. As Mr. Dean pointed out, this is a little unusual because there has been a change made in the plan that you've already approved. And if you go back to the plan that you approved, I believe last year, the new concept plan and the concerns of the residents now is that there's been a reduction in the lot sizes. The density of the property is going to be different now in some of with the lower lot sizes and the homes being more dense. That one of the things that we have in our ordinances is a requirement that a development reflect the character of the area that it is developed within. And so that's the concern, is does this new development fit the character of the area? And I would encourage all of you, before you considered this, to go out there and drive, if you haven't been out there, drive down Tullis Road and look at the surrounding communities, the subdivisions out there, and the other homes along the road, and ask yourself that question. I believe what the residents would like to see is something to going back to the original plan that you had already approved. That was something they feel like was more in line with what the nature of the character of the area calls for. And so perhaps we could call on the developers to go back to the drawing board and look at the old plans and maybe come up with something that comes close to that before this is approved. So that's what the residents would like for you to consider tonight. I'd like for you to ask for you to listen to their concerns carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ralph, I think it's Mabry, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Ralph Mabry. I live at 1084 Tullis Road. After several community meetings with the Tullis Road people and the surrounding owners of in Belle Chase and other communities, and some county commissioners, 3 representatives from our meetings met with Mr. Artavan on the original concept plan and requested, 1, a 300-foot setback from Tullis Road to protect the character of the area. 2, that trees and vegetation be planted on the perimeter of the development to screen from the present homes and their surrounding property owners. Williamson County requested that the density be moved from view and placed in the center of the development, therefore creating a true conservation plan. Mr. Artavan accepted the request, sent it back to the engineering, and the approval plan reflected these requests. A win-win for the community and Mr. Artavan. With the purchase of the additional 39 acres, they now have 162 acres, but the density now on Tullis Road, with the density now on Tullis Road. This does not meet the vision, goals, objectives of our county's land use plan, which states that Williams County will continue to be a rural county with new growth limited to the agricultural and very low density residential use designated in the rural area. This development is being advertised as an urban subdivision in the historic city of Franklin. It is not even in the urban growth boundary area. This area, with 162 acres, this development could maintain its character by developing the 99 homes on each 1 acre lots. Adjacent property resulting in a visit to our county engineers, sitting down with them and concerning violations. I messed up somewhere. It has also created difficulty for our request parameters planning due to there has been change in some topography that raised the land higher than the surrounding land and sloped very steeply. That is, they got caught with a violation of the land flowing in because of the rains onto the adjoining property. There's also a section on the back of the adjoining property that has now become a swamp. And the new concept plan and new development does not honor our community's initial agreements with Mr. Artavan, and we respectfully ask that the new concept plan be deferred until these are discussed.
Thank you, sir. Sharon Zeman?
Sharon Zeman, 1018 Tullis Road. and we've lived there about 25 years. So the concerns have always been consistent with the residents of Tullis Road. We've been concerned, environmental concerns, and I have to commend Williamson County for adopting protection of water, your stormwater guidelines. However, when looking at this new project, we've been a bit alarmed by the treatment of Mays Creek and the Mays Creek tributaries that both flow onto this property. And we just simply ask and continued, and we have in the past for many years, just being sensitive to the environment of the community. Pertaining mostly with the water issues, recognizing Mays Creek as a waterway to be protected, because it not only affects us, but downstream in the communities. It's my understanding, too, there was a violation found by the county engineering department, and they've been given 2 weeks to resolve this. And this is kind of the examples of what we're concerned with. And it's my understanding, well, going back, I was a member of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan public representative. Lou Green asked me to be, because he was aware that I've been always concerned about the environmental issues that occur when there's a new development going on in the community. So it was my understanding that a conservation plan kind of covers that, about conserving open space and protecting waterways, and I'm just asking that this developer recognize that's important to the residents and to Williamson County codes and regulations as well. I think that's about covers it, and I want to thank you for a public meeting offering for us to make comments.
Kathy Weber.
Hi, I'm Kathy Weber, and I live at 1900 Springcroft Drive in the Worthington subdivision right off of Clovercroft. I recently have served as a citizen on the Transportation Advisory Committee with Mike and some of you. And the consultants, McBride, Dale, and Clarion, reported that our existing funding gap was about $378.8 million. And of that, $155.6 million was for operational and safety needs, and $223.2 million were to address the capacity needs. This is currently, and there is no current, ongoing dedicated source of revenue within the county to fund the type of magnitude of roadway improvements that are needed or will be needed in the future in order to address the existing and anticipated deficiencies. To meet the funding gap, they suggested several new tax scenarios to raise the funds needed, but there was one recommendation that did not impact the citizens by taxing, and that was for the review or the changes needed to our county land use plan and regulatory tools that are used in regards to approving development, which directly impacts our roadways. While the regulatory tools, like you were even speaking of tonight, for the road turn lanes, and that the impact was, going to be sufficient and they were approved, that such as these types of regulatory rules that are utilized by the county, they can do and they help implement necessary localized roadway improvements. They can do little to address the type of system-wide needs that the county is facing. So the current regulatory approaches only mitigates for local traffic impact and not for a system-wide impact. So the consultants noted also that our area east of 65 experienced higher traffic volumes and faster rate of volume increase than areas west of 65. The numbers of vehicles will actually start to exceed the capacity on the roads that are needing improvement. So in light of these findings from the consultants and realizing that the growth in our county and our municipalities are not paying for itself, we feel it's fiscally irresponsible to permit this concept plan and future development like this when there is an alternative zoning permitted in the county in this area, which is RD1. And this would also reduce the impact not only to the character of the rural communities, but to our overall county debt and funding gaps. Hopefully, the coming review to update the comprehensive land use plan will eliminate this conservation subdivision zoning or give the county the right of refusal. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Rose Davis.
Good evening. Thank you for the privilege of speaking. My name is Rose Davis. I live at 2545 Bell Chase Farms, Bell Chase Drive in Bell Chase Farms subdivision. I have lived off of Clovercroft Road for 21 years. I've watched that beautiful road, which had maybe 100 houses, now turn into, within a 5-mile square radius, 2,200 homes. My concern as a private citizen is my fire and emergency service. So I personally have lived off that road and watched the Arrington Fire Department now be expanded for a volunteer staff of 14 people. On average, as I spoke with someone from the firehouse and also Mr. Lawrence, they respond to 4 to 8 calls per day, or 2017, they responded to 4,000 calls for a volunteer fire department based on the capacity we currently have there. We don't have a dedicated firehouse. My request would be, based on revised plans, if land could be donated for a sufficient firehouse for the capacity of the houses and the people living within the community. And I recently, most recently, for my personal self, living there 21 years, having normal home insurance policy, was just hit with a Class 10 homeowner's insurance policy, or tripled in my rate based on calling me a Class 10 or a high hazard area, saying that Arrington Fire Department couldn't respond to a fire at my home in less than 21 to 24 minutes. On average homeowners policies, I believe, are about a Class 5, and the response should be 5 to 8 minutes. So while I don't feel that the classification is proper, and while I have nothing against growth and progress, but somehow the infrastructure that is servicing the 2,200 homes existing without adding entirely more traffic, more roads, more homes into an existing problem with the fire and emergency infrastructure. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. George, Deere or Dean? I'm not sure which.
I put my name on there just out of abundance of precaution.
I understand. Tom Head, excuse me, Jim Head. I said that wrong.
Thank you. I'm not sure about, on the north side of the development, there is a road that they've been using. It was the only way they had. It borders on our property going into the 131 acres initially where they were building it. And I was just interested, are they going to close that road that is beside our property? Or, because the main entrance is further down Tullis Road, but there's still traffic that comes in and out on that road in the development.
Staff, can you answer that? Mike?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's appropriate maybe for the developer to answer that particular question. He's asking about the driveway at the extreme northern portion of the site.
Yes, Richard Howes with SEC. That actual driveway will remain in place for access for the step system areas. It will not be, it's part of the subdivision, but it is not a main road. It is not to be used for
So
the
it
public.
only goes to the
It goes back
treatment
to the
system?
step system area.
Okay.
Will there be landscaping?
Around the
No.
step system area
Yeah,
itself,
because the
but
road
not on the road.
is right next to our fence.
Not on the road that I know of,
Yeah,
unless it's got the buffer around it. I'm not sure exactly on that.
Because there was, what lot was that it came by?
Mr. Head, do you have other
Yeah.
comments to address the commission?
The septic system, when I was talking to Mike the other day, there was another way through this development to the septic system that went by one of the lots. And that's what I was just interested in.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Doug Vaughn?
Thank you. I'm Doug Vaughn. I live in the Bell Chase Farm subdivision at 2534 Bellbrook Drive. My concern is just that as, you know, we moved out there about 7 years ago, and we look around us and we see the entire nature of this area changing. As has already been mentioned, the number of new homes that have gone in, you know, the nature is no longer the nice 1 acre lots. With this subdivision, we're talking about much more density. We're talking about a greater level of traffic. These are roads that were never meant for that type of traffic to come up and down them. The excuse me, the engineers that look at this, I might respectfully suggest that they get out there at about 7:30 on any given morning and try to get onto Clovercroft Road. They would find that that's very difficult. That's a road that was never made for the level of traffic that's on it. And when we talk about approving these things, adding more homes, bringing more traffic through our subdivision, that concerns me. It just changes the nature of what we all bought into and what we would expect in a rural setting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the speakers on our list. We'll close the public hearing at this time. I appreciate each and every comment you made. Thank you. Staff? Any questions of staff? Comments? Doug? Who did I see punch? Who's lit up there? Don, excuse me.
I was just curious what was just mentioned, if staff could tell us, what was the violation that we were looking at?
Engineer?
The notice of violation, is that what you asked
Yes,
about?
sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Our stormwater coordinator was on site today and met with the contractor, and efforts have been made toward correcting the areas of concern. He did tell me that they have to make some more corrections before it will be fully completed. But he met with them today, and efforts are in progress to correct the notice of violation. He gave them a certain amount of time before an additional violation and civil penalty would be issued.
But what was the violation?
It was an illicit discharge. In other words, they were discharging water into the stream system that had a color differentiation.
Thank you.
Brian?
Aaron, quick question. The plan before us now has a slightly lower density than the previous one that was approved, correct? I calculated it's slightly different, but it's
almost minuscule.
okay. Thank you.
As far as density?
Yes, that's correct.
Other comments? None? I hear none. Motion? While you're thinking about a motion, I've got a question to staff. The comments I hear for buying this additional 39 acres and adding it to the 30 acres and adding it to the previous thing is it's made a huge change in the subdivision. can you tell me what the changes are? It doesn't sound like, on the face of it, that few lots, this is not a question for the public. You can have a seat, be comfortable. What's the changes? Who's best to answer that?
I'll start to address that, and then Mr. Holmes can jump in if there's anything to add to it. But so Daventry was approved with 80 lots. There has been, as you know, a request for a subdivision called Barnsley, totaling 19 lots. So a total of 19 lots in those two subdivisions. So at our request, they've redesigned the two subdivisions into one. Essentially, the main change is that they're taking those same 99 lots and redistributing those on the property so as to eliminate the need for an additional curb cut onto Tullis Road. Now, the developer did, in addition to that, make some internal changes that they felt were good changes and that were needed in order to respond to our request. So there are some internal changes. There's a very, very slight reduction in average lot size, but as Mr. Richter pointed out, I think the overall density on the project has either stayed the same or maybe there's a very small reduction in density. But they basically redistributed the lots, but Mr. Holmes has reviewed the plans and felt that it continues to meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and from a traffic standpoint, we feel it's a better situation than the alternative of two subdivisions and two entrances on Tullis Road.
Right. The other question is, and I failed to recall the name now, someone said there were some agreements between the developer and the community that were incorporated into the initial plan. Is that still there, whatever they were, and I don't recall them at this juncture? Aaron, can you answer that?
I am unaware of what specifically was transpired between the applicant and the adjoining property owners. Perhaps Mr. Dean could answer that for us.
Mr. Dean?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I don't know the answer to that. I was not involved in the
Come on up. You keep throwing your hand up. I'm going to give you a chance to talk.
Well, I was in the meeting with Mr.
What were the things they conceded to do?
Okay, they conceded to move the density back into the property. They agreed to
300 foot back.
300 foot back on Tullis Road.
Okay.
And that, if you look at it now, the density on the new property is also not moved back 300 feet like he agreed to. It is still at the entrance, but the rest of the homes on Tullis Road are not 300 foot back. Plus, he agreed that they'd put up vegetation to block the view from the surrounding neighborhood. Well, they raised the topography. This is where I lost my track in my saying. They raised the topography at certain points up to about 15 or 20 feet above what it was before.
Does that screen it?
No, this made it higher, so if you put some vegetation there, it's not going to screen. My sister is going to sit there and look out her kitchen window at all these homes that have now been moved up. Originally, he agreed to have 3 houses up there on the front, behind 300, and then move the rest of it back, which the county actually asked them to do. By the way, another change is that he owned, Mr. Artavan owned Clovercroft Reserve. It was originally to go from Clovercroft Reserve into Daventry and exit onto Tullis Road. That one now has been closed, and they're putting the traffic not through his other subdivision, but through Bell Chase, which he has nothing to do. And personally, I don't think that's right. But he moved that entrance. He moved everything south of Mays Creek, that he had several homes over there, to the front. Now, also on this new acreage, he's got 28 home planned. That's right up by the road. Okay. This is not reducing the density from the view. If you go down to Clovercroft.
It is reducing the density of the subdivision as a whole, but not the view shed. Is that what you're saying?
It's not reducing the density as a whole. It's actually increasing it from 80 to 99. by adding these other 19, they said 19 homes, but if you count them on the plat, there are 28 homes in that section.
The total lots
Or 99 now.
not substantially increased from the original density.
It went from 80 to 99.
Is that correct?
It went from 80 to 99, but there was also an increase in the overall acreage.
31, 32 acres.
What I'm saying, the density of the combined subdivisions is no greater than it was when it was just one subdivision.
It is, but it's
not.
It's up in the front where.
Well, you can say that, but the density has not increased. Is my point. Okay, we agree on that?
No. The size of the lots are smaller, on average.
Christie?
No, I'm fine.
You've got a major change with the.
I appreciate you stepping up.
You asked
sir.
for what the major changes were, and I was trying to tell you.
I'll get that from staff. That's what I want to know. Thank you, sir.
The staff doesn't want to tell you the truth.
That was unwarranted.
No, it's not. You got other people who would like to tell you their side too.
They should have signed up for the public hearing. Ma'am?
You want to see pictures of the subdivision?
I made a mistake inviting you up. I thought we could do this in a gentlemanly way, but apparently we can't. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us.
Who? Holly?
I do have a question. What you just mentioned, another subdivision's traffic is being funneled through Bell Chase?
No, it's been cut off.
Hey.
That's enough.
She asked me a question.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. She's talking to this commission. Now you zip it. We clear?
So it's cut off, so there's not additional traffic going through Bell Chase?
That's correct.
Well, just to be clear, Holly, there is a connection from Daventry to Bell Chase. There always was, and that continues to be the case.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, one other thing, I guess it was mentioned on the fire service, that's nothing we can control, but that's something that at some point the county's going to have to look at.
Absolutely.
With all these subdivisions coming in and fire rates, and I live in a rural area. I'm used to high fire rates, but
You're correct.
that's something that's people.
Other comments?
Yeah.
Sammy?
So talking about fire and talking about the traffic study from last year, both of those are things that we can't control. You just said that. That's not what the planning commission can control. The funding for those is we don't control either. That is the county commission. So funding for both of those, any improvements have to come through them. Just wanted that point to be made.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff? Comments? I hear none. Is there a motion?
I'll ask one other question. So if we scrap this plan, the developer has an approved plan, sounds like they're building on it, correct? The other 30 acres, they would be able to resubmit with their original 19-lot subdivision?
Yes, that's correct.
With a secondary access onto Tullis Road?
Yes.
And we were trying to work with them to have one entrance on Tullis Road, keeping with that same 80 and 19 number of lots.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Prohan?
The agreement or between the developer and the community, we weren't involved in as far as staff. Is this correct? This is something that they got together and they talked about, but
I understood it. Are one of y'all a developer? Or you the engineer? Were you part of this agreement?
I was not in that meeting, no, sir.
Did you incorporate the agreement into your design?
We put the 300-foot setback at the entrance off of Tullis into the plans. The rest of it, I mean, there's landscape buffer around the edge of the property, but landscaping has not been installed at this time because it's under construction.
Okay, and you didn't apply the 300-foot setback to the new lots?
We've got a 100-foot offset based on the new rules that we were using to do the layout based on staff's comments. Past that, no.
Okay, thank you. Tammy, anything
So
else?
this was an agreement that they had. It wasn't anything to do with us. And at this point, staff is satisfied that the developer has met all the criteria that we require on the books right now.
That's correct, Mr. Crowley. Yes.
Well, being with that, I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Brian's got a comment. Let me get that.
It was an extension of what Don was asking. The 100-foot meets our setback.
That's correct, yes.
And your motion, Mr. Crohan?
To accept staff's recommendation.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? I hear none. Prepare to vote. Go down. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Where is the damn agenda? Thank you. Agenda item 19, non-residential site plan review for Cox Lad non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system on 237 acres located off Cox Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the March 2017 meeting, a site plan for a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was approved to serve the proposed Arrington Ridge development, which consists of 88 lots and encompasses approximately 128 acres of the site. The concept plan for Arrington Ridge was approved in May of 2017, followed by the preliminary plat for the first phase of the development, which consists of 12 lots, in August of 2017. The applicant is now requesting approval of a revised site plan in order to enlarge the system by adding additional wastewater disposal areas and a 29,700 gallon per day storage pond on an adjacent parcel. This expansion will enable the system to serve a proposed 99-lot subdivision on that adjacent parcel, in addition to the previously approved Arrington Ridge subdivision. A concept plan for the new subdivision will be submitted in the coming months. The county zoning ordinance requires a site plan for a proposed non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system, or in this case, an expansion of an existing system, to be approved before a concept plan for the use the system will serve may be approved. The subject properties total approximately 237 acres and are located on Cox Road near Interstate 840. Portions of the site are covered by natural resources, including hilltops, areas of moderate and steep slopes, floodplain, streams, wetlands, and woodlands. Approximately 25% of the site is covered in tree canopy. Millcrofton Utility District will provide water to the proposed subdivisions. A revised design development report and detailed soils investigation report were prepared by the applicant and submitted to the county. The county's wastewater consultant has reviewed these reports and is recommending approval of the proposed site plan. A certificate of convenience and necessity has been approved by the Tennessee Regulatory Authority. A conceptual layout for the proposed subdivisions, which depicts a total of 187 lots, has been included as sheets C 4.1, sheets 4.0, and C 4.2 of the site plan packet. This conceptual layout of the new subdivision is provided for illustrative purposes only and has not yet been reviewed for compliance with applicable regulations. The site plan is in order and staff recommends approval. Prior to final plat submittal for the first section of the proposed subdivision, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. Number 1, letter from TDEC indicating the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning. Number 2, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans. 3, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating same. Number 4, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $186,900 for said system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. And number 5, posting of a performance bond in the amount of $70,150 for landscaping improvements.
Thank you, sir. Questions of staff? Mr. Sanders?
Before there's a motion, I'd just like to recuse myself of the vote because it's conflict of interest.
That's fine and dandy. I appreciate you saying that. Other comments? Everybody can't recuse themselves.
I don't know if there's enough left to vote on it.
Oh, no. When we start with a quorum, we're good to go. Any other comments?
Move for accept staff's recommendation.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. We got one left?
Yeah, he needs to abstain.
Oops. You do, Ed. Thank you, buddy. Still says you're voting.
Maybe I ought to put my glasses on.
Now record it. Motion carries. Thank you. And I have lost my agenda. That's it. Hey, I want to say something. Let's adjourn. Thank you. I heard two people say